is your favorite Dynabot here, and today we're going to talk about the theory between Monster Hunter riders and hunters. So let's begin. Now, Monster Hunter Stories is actually pretty interesting because it really does touch on the fact that we could actually raise these monsters and have them fight for us. Now, okay, that probably didn't sound, the most humane I've ever said it, but at the same time, it is true. It is pretty true here. You are able to raise these monsters in order to basically fight for you, protect you, and run around with you. Now, sure, they do this in Monster Hunter World, but not to the same extent, okay? We still have the sheer fact that we have to deal with, monsters as big as Devil Joe and Odogaron trying to fight us. In all honesty, I think it would be nice to actually have a monster you could take around and even harvest stuff with. Now, I know you might be saying, okay, this sounds a little bit too much like Ark Legendary. What do you want? Now, hear me out. That I think that would actually be good though for the game. I think it would be good to have a Monster Hunter game kind of like Ark in a way. Now you might say, okay, why? Now, my real reason is why not? You get to play as, you basically get to ride around as these monsters, and you get to fight against other monsters, kill them, and then you can harvest the materials needed, right? You can harvest the materials needed to build your suit of armor. All right? You can get whatever you need from that monster because it's a monster probably in full condition. I mean, hey, it can still work the same way as regular Monster Hunter does. I mean, there's really no other... I really don't see any other way around it. I mean, it's going to work the same way whether we like it regardless or not. It could probably still work like Ark, or maybe it could work somewhere like in between Ark and, Monster Hunter, where you could both fight and still harvest and maybe even build your own base. I think it would be interesting to actually have, houses on top of certain monsters. For example, if you get let's see, I think it was Tartaronus. Yeah, Tartaronus or whatever. Imagine having a sinking house with Tartaronus. You mean to tell me that wouldn't be cool? That wouldn't be smacking? That wouldn't be off the chain? You know what I'm saying? You guys, I think it would be, in my opinion. I mean, it's pretty simple. But anyway, let's really get into this theory here on why I believe this has pretty much happened before. So I do believe that in order to keep balance in nature, you have to do certain things. The hunters also do these certain things in Monster Hunter as well. They pretty much keep the balance with each other regularly, pretty much having I guess you could say the natural care for nature. And I do think that at some point, poaching was a big problem in Monster Hunter for a while. Now you might say, wait, poaching, is that even possible? Yes, it actually is. There are poachers in Monster Hunter, and I do think that should be explored at a much later date, because I like to have a human versus human interaction for once when actually playing Monster Hunter. Having to fight against these poachers on a regular would be pretty interesting. And you can actually defend certain monsters, but you have to be sure not to kill them. I think it'd be really good to actually have a mechanic where you have to save these monsters from these poachers, and you can't kill the monster at all. Now, you can hurt it and maybe damage it a little bit, but you cannot kill the monster. And I think that would be such an interesting, theme to have, because these monsters are incredibly powerful, and then you have some that are incredibly fragile. Okay, I think that would be a good game mechanic. Now, these poachers have been around since the days of Monoblos, which is a very well-known wyvern. So if anyone doesn't know Monoblos, you have been living under a rock. So this means these poachers have been hunting for quite some time in the Monster Hunterverse in general. I do think that it was a problem at some point. I do think that at some point these poachers and hunters just eventually, overdid it and were driving species to extinction, that the guild was basically formed to basically prevent these poachers from taking more lives or taking more monster lives as a whole here. So this means that these poachers were basically using these monsters as, well, game, sport even. While with the hunters, you might say legendary, isn't that the same thing? No, it really isn't. Because the hunters actually kill out of necessity and make sure they harvest every part of the monster that they need in order to, well, use it for something. The bones are even used for, are basically used for to make your weapons. They use the element ores, a part of these monsters, or the elemental cores of the monsters or whatever, to basically make your weapons much more powerful than they originally are. I mean, I don't really see a problem with the hunters at all. Sure, they can be a bit misguided and misjudged, but yes, they are actually keeping the actual balance of nature in check here. So this means that these hunters and these poachers have been against each other for a while. So what about the riders? How do the riders fit into this, triangle? Okay? Well, I do believe the riders are the more so balanced between the hunters. Now, see, the hunters, like us, we basically kill the monsters, take their corpses, and use them however we want to. Okay, I don't think that sounded right when I said it, but I need y'all to roll with it. Just roll with it. I know it didn't sound right when I said it. Nope. Don't y'all start in the comment section. Don't start. I know it didn't sound right, but y'all got to bear with me. So these riders basically, they take the children of these monsters or the egg clutches of these monsters, and they use them as, well, pretty much, they use them as what they need to. They pretty much use these monsters as mounts, harvesters. They use them as protection. Because imagine having a herd of popo, right? And using them to basically travel everywhere. Imagine having that herd of popo and you have a glacial Najarala protecting the Duramboros. Oh, sorry, not a glacial. A tidal Najarala protecting your popos. Or you're using your Duramboros as transport, right? And you need something to protect them. Imagine riding on the back of a Nargacuja and an Anjanath side by side, and they're able to, go to these places without tearing at each other. You cannot tell me that would not be the most amazing thing to happen in the entirety of Monster Hunter. You're lying if you're saying that. And here's the thing. The imprint you have on the creatures, right, could make them so much better than their original selves. For example, Brachydios are not raised with parental love and care. And I think that's sad. Because that's why they act. So, they act so, pretty much like a bully. Alright? So imagine having, right, a Brachydios that is friendly towards people and has pretty much a better outlook on life than with its actual parents. And who knows, you could probably mature it to the point where you have a raging Brachydios. Get it a mate, boom. You're in that Brachydios, so you're basically that Brachydios' daddy. Like, come on now. You mean to tell me none of y'all have thought about that? Having your own Brachydios? Having your own Tartaronis? Okay? Imagine having an Elder Dragon. Alright? A fully raised up Elder Dragon. A human raised Elder Dragon. Alright? Just imagine the possibilities of having it. I guarantee you, y'all be set for life. Matter of fact, it's very possible that kingdoms in Monster Hunter were using monsters at one point to fight their battles. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. In my personal opinion, no, I don't think that is a bad thing at all. Because it shows that there is actually a correlation between humans and monsters. There is a balance between the two. There's no doubt about it. Now, I know some of y'all might be saying, like, don't this sound like the Hunted mod that from Ark? Yes, it does. Yeah. I'll admit, it does sound like Ark the Hunted. And I would not be the one to deny that. But you have to admit, having this kind of mechanic in a Monster Hunter game would be satisfying. Having, being able to even go out and harvest the eggs of a creature, and you could choose to raise it at your own, and then you can probably put it in like an enclosure or whatever, where you could interact and play with it, is amazing. I think that would be perfect for the game as a whole here. Now, back to the rider theory, the riders would basically be able to take these monsters and raise them how they need to. This could even turn them into monster breeders, bringing back certain monsters from extinction. An example is Gammoth is still flourishable, while Deviljho isn't. But in all honesty, I do think that these monster riders are essential to the way that the Monster Hunter world works. You have your hunters and poachers who don't get along together because they hunt for different reasons. And then you have your Monster Hunter riders who basically raise the monsters and bring back monster species from extinction and fight off these poachers on a regular. But hey, I think that's really all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This will go into the Wyvern Kingdom section of my channel. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys later.